Sairam and loving welcome, everyone. You are the High Vibe Energy Tribe. Today's program is called Hold On, and we have a full program with quantum gazing, 5 new skill sets, a guided meditation, the Masters of Light slideshow, steps to mastery, some resources, and several teaching stories. The next quantum gazing program will be on Saturday, November 27th at 2 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. The U.S. will have fallen back to Standard Time from Daylight Savings Time by then. Now's a good time to get your notebooks and get ready for the Masters of Light slideshow. As you can see, we don't diagnose, prescribe, or cure, and we're not medical doctors. Viewers are encouraged to seek help from their health caregivers. This educational, inspirational program is protected under free speech that's guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution and is never meant to harm or coerce anyone in any way, but only to empower viewers. Let's start with a short prayer. Beloved Lord, angelic host, and Masters of Light, we love, love, love you, and we wish to thank you in advance for all of your mercy, love, and protection to each of us, both in the past and in the immediate future as events unfold. Strengthen us, please, to hold on and to push through with our intentions of safety and protection for all people and creatures. Let us know, experience, and express our divinity, giving compassion where and when we can. Let us decree for a soon end to all upheaval, lack, chaos, war, and incivility. Kindly hear our prayers of repentance for our misdeeds, and please heal the earth's people and purify the land, the air, and the bodies of water. We cry out to you to make us lions of faith and strength. Let us hear your voice, O Lord, and louder each day. May your long-promised interfaith renewal and revival and golden age of peace and plenty burst forth now, sweeping the earth and revealing the gifts of the Holy Spirit, which each of us have come to earth to liberally share in your holy name with our brothers and sisters everywhere. Amen. So be it.
Before we show the Master's slideshow and then go directly to quantum gazing, we'd like to remind all of you of our current work in these dynamic times. Be vigilant. Be firm in your faith. Be strong and courageous. Especially keep your mood and your vibes up. If you wish to share your gazing experiences with us, and we're not collecting them anymore, you may write to us at info@connieshaw.com. Although we won't be able to respond due to emails or respond to emails or questions due to our heavy workload and the thousands of emails we receive each month. Now, regarding the Masters of Light slideshow, which we will now watch, we've added a section at the end on intentions after the chart of the I Am Presence. This will help you to expand your ideas and thoughts about what is possible regarding spiritual intentions. We hope you find it uplifting and useful, and that you enjoy the remarkable paintings of the famous Nicholas Roerich. We'll now watch the Masters of Light slideshow and urge you to memorize the names and faces of the Masters and Angels, since they may start appearing to you, and they are around you now, helping and healing you and your loved ones through photosurrogacy. Just give me a moment to get things queued up here and working properly. Well, as you saw, there are many spiritual intentions and preparations that you can make ready for the upgrading of your subtle and physical bodies to be able to receive God's supernatural mantles and gifts of the Spirit. Now, please think of 3 or 4 wishes, prayers, or intentions as we've been gazing. Please uncross your legs and your ankles if you're sitting on a chair or a sofa or something like that. If you're on the floor, it's fine to just stay in whatever position you're in. Now, during gazing, there's no need to stare strongly at us or try to send energy. Just relax and receive the energy while being aware of any masters or angels around you. They may be speaking to you or tapping you on the head or hand. Both of us will be doing gazing, following 3 sets of deep inhalations and exhalations. Ready? Now let's raise our shoulders as we slowly inhale. And now exhale as we imagine our consciousness dropping down into our spiritual heart space. At the end of our out breath, notice how we feel in our heart. We should feel a specific feeling when our consciousness reaches that out breath. Now let's raise our shoulders again. Deep breath in. Breathe out. Imagine your consciousness dropping down into your heart center. And notice that feeling when it gets there. Breathe in deeply. Breathe out. Imagine your consciousness dropping down into your heart center as you make the connection with all that is. Now imagine your consciousness expanding out into the universe, reaching your idea of what the quantum field of love is, and imagining yourself enveloped by it. Now you can come back to the room and we'll begin gazing.
Thank you, beloved Lord, Masters of Light, and angelic hosts. Now we're going to discuss the 4 steps to mastery. First of all, discovery, then 2, play, then 3, experimentation, then 4, mastery. Now, these are very ancient steps in the martial arts, and they apply to all other types of mastery as well. After you discover what you want to learn and you have fun with it and you get some confidence, then you try different variations as you experiment. Finally, after lots and lots of practice, you master the art or the science. All right, now then, in order to have mastery, it's necessary to listen, listen, listen inside. It's also necessary to find ways to increase our energy. One way to both increase your inner guidance and connection to nature and nature intelligence, as well as to expand your energy, is to work with the tree devas or spirits. We've talked about this before, but we're going into it a little more deeply today. We'll show a chart now on 2 skill sets for working with the tree devas. As you can see there, this aspect has to do with getting answers and also renewing yourself. Diane Robbins, as we've said before, has a book called Tree Talk, which is very useful in understanding what is in the divine job description of the tree devas in helping you, you might say. They are very wise, ancient beings and the history keepers of the planet, as we keep saying. Now then, you can also talk with them for answers to your questions or a general message that they might have for you. And then after checking for ants or other insects, sit with your back against a tree. Now, if you can't access the tree trunk, for example, if you're on a balcony or you're somewhere else and you're not really close enough, then you can hold on to a branch or a leaf cluster if you can't get close to the trunk. Now, naturally, you would never kill an insect like an ant or a bug on a tree because all creatures have the right to live. And presumably, you wouldn't carelessly break off a tree branch. Now, so what you do then, as we said, is you ask your question aloud or silently, and you're very precise. For example, you might want to ask this question: which volcanoes and earthquake fault lines need my decrees and prayers for stabilization now? Or you might ask, which animal and bird species need my prayers for protection now? Another one might be, I'm thinking of relocating to either Idaho or Oklahoma soon. Would either of those places or another place that you could name be the next best step for me? So there are all kinds of ways you can interact with the nature intelligence or tree devas. Then you write down the answers you get in a notebook rather than a phone or a device so that there are no electrical interferences with the inner answers that you'll be receiving. Keep practicing if you hear nothing at first. Try communicating with the tree from your patio or balcony, or even from your car if you can't get next to a tree for some other reason, as we indicated. For example, it might be raining or snowing, or the air might be fouled with smoke or debris. Now, if that fails, just talk to the tree from inside your home or workplace. Experiment with this, play with it, have fun with it. And then finally, you thank the tree and ask it to call you when it has more information that it wishes to impart on the topics of, for example, your safety, your spiritual growth, new abilities, which might be coming to you, for example. All things, all beings are connected. Next, if you want to work with nature intelligence and the tree devas or spirits on energy renewal, you can A, sit with your back against the tree and then ask to be renewed and recharged in body, mind, and spirit and have more energy. And then also, when you sit against a tree or hold on to a branch or a leaf, feel a surge of energy move from your base chakra up your spine to the top of your head. Sit there for 15 or 20 minutes until you feel completion. Ask how often it would be beneficial for you to receive the tree's energy. For example, depending on your schedule and the type of nature that is easily accessible to you, it might be a few times a week, and it might even be daily, or it might be weekly. And then you thank the tree. Now, next, after I finish talking here a moment, we're going to talk about foiling curses, hexes, spells, and doing and incantations or even implants that may have been hurled against you. So we're going to learn the skill set of dispelling negative energies of a specific nature. That is, I'd like to tell you 2 stories about 2 clients who wrote to me telling me that they had been targeted by malevolent beings in very specific ways. Then we'll teach you a decree for foiling curses, hexes, spells, incantations, and implants. Unfortunately, by the way, people who are ignorant enough and vicious enough to hex or to curse other people or animals don't realize that they're creating karma that will make them the targets of such things in the future. To even contemplate doing harm to another person or an animal is to play with fire and to set up disastrous events for yourself in the near or the distant future. The first story about this, before we show you how to do that decree, is called Jillian and the South African Game Table. Once I got an email from Jillian in South Africa, who was a well-to-do woman whom I'd never met. She told me that the practice of cursing, hexing, and casting spells on other people was still a very common practice in South Africa, as well as other South African countries, and in Central America, Malaysia, sometimes Singapore, and in Louisiana, the USA. Jillian told me that her brother's wife had just sent her a very expensive gift of a costly wooden game table with a large drawer and a checkerboard on top of many exotic tropical wood inlay designs. And then inside the drawer, there were chess pieces, checker pieces, and backgammon, and all sorts of games that the family could play. Now, this gift was a surprise since her sister-in-law had never shown any acceptance or kindness toward her. Jillian was suspicious of the sudden generosity, but nevertheless she called and thanked her sister-in-law right away for the gift upon its delivery. That night, Jillian's family sat down at the new game table to play checkers. Later that night, they all got violently ill with severe stomach pains, headaches, and vomiting. Jillian realized later that the game table gift must have been cursed as a way of sending a debilitating hatred toward the family. She turned over the game table and couldn't find anything unusual about it. Then she opened the drawer of the game table and saw that underneath the drawer there was a black hex sign taped to the underside of the table, along with some strange writing. The next day, Jillian and her husband Reginald called their local Episcopal priest, Father James, who did demonic depossessions and prayers for canceling hexes and curses. He came right away and he prayed over the family, one by one. Then he burned the hex sign in a dish and then buried the ashes outside the family compound wall and rebuked the spirit of the game table. Next, Reginald and one of the house servants took the game table outside in the family truck, and it was taken to a nearby clearing and burnt to ashes. Jillian asked her family to be put on our prayer list of several hundred people, and we agreed to pray for them for a month. The next story is called Johnny and the Giant Monstera Houseplant Gift. Shortly after Jillian's email, we heard from our friend Johnny, and in the course of the conversation, he happened to mention that years ago, when he had lived in Zambia, in Africa, that once he had received a gift of a tall potted monstera plant, or split-leaf philodendron, from his brother. Now, he was very curious as to what the gift represented and why his brother would give him a gift, especially such an expensive, beautiful monstera plant in such a lovely ceramic pot. So he was a bit suspicious. As his brother rang the doorbell and indicated that he was bringing in a potted plant as a gift for the family, he suddenly had a feeling that he shouldn't allow the plant inside. So he asked his brother to set the large plant on the front porch until he decided where to put it. He said, "We have to find just the right place for it. You know, our house is so crowded, and of course it will need sunlight." So the brother and he chatted a bit, then the brother left, and Johnny instinctively got a metal spoon and began to lift the potted soil that surrounded the plant, the dirt. Immediately, he found a cloth hex bundle under the dirt that was filled with a black stone and some writing in a foreign language. He immediately put the plant on the curbing for a trash pickup that afternoon, decreeing that the hex was annulled and that no one, including the trash truck drivers or anyone in the vicinity of the plant, would ever be harmed by it in any way. So, hexes and spells and curses can come in all kinds of containers. But there's also something I wanted to mention to you, and that is that there is a lot of angry energy that is encircling the world right now, and most people don't realize that their shouting and their angry energy hangs in the ethers forever unless they cancel it, and that energy can come back on them in very dangerous ways. One time, our friend Caroline, who had a bad temper and who was prone to anger and outbursts, came over for a meeting. She started angrily complaining about something in a room full of people at our house. Then suddenly I got chills that she was creating a very dangerous situation for herself, and I shouted out, "Caroline, stop! You mustn't yell angrily like that. I just got a premonition that you should stop all yelling tonight. Don't do it anymore, and try to stop yourself from doing it, because your anger vibrations have been sent out into the atmosphere and they could come back on you violently very soon. We wouldn't want that for you. Please, let's just calm down." Well, let's have some tea, everybody. So we veered the conversation off in another direction and had some tea. And then later, as everybody was thanking us and leaving, Caroline said, "You know, I don't believe all that stuff about angry energy. I've always been a person that just felt very free to raise my voice or shout or yell if I felt like it. I like to express myself that way." Well, the next day, she called, and in the course of the conversation, she mentioned casually that she had been driving in the mountains behind a large gravel truck when it suddenly threw a large, sharp rock into her windshield, cracking it and causing her to swerve off the road. Well, now I'm going to have to get my windshield repaired. What a terrible thing to happen. I wonder why that happened, she said. Remember your outburst and my premonition last night when I got chills? I asked her. What? What? Do you mean a little shouting can actually cause a rock to hit a wind chill the next day? How on earth are they connected? I still don't believe that stuff. Yes, our words and even our thoughts can cause something like that to happen, or even worse. Angry energy is dangerous to everyone. You have to learn to cancel it as soon as you shout it. And better yet, to think before you yell or get angry so that you nip it in the bud right away. Oh, please, please. I don't want anything to happen to you, Caroline. Well, I haven't believed in that, but maybe I'll consider this, she said. Now, the next chart is on emotional boomerangs. Emotional boomerangs are exactly like the type of thing that happened to Caroline. But since we were talking about hexes in gifts, it's always a good idea. All spiritual teachers tell their students, and I'm not a spiritual teacher per se, and we don't have any students or devotees, but we just like to say that, number one, don't accept gifts because it creates obligations. Also, number two, never put a curse on someone specifically or curse them in speaking at them or to them or about them. And be especially careful if you're in an angry group that shouting, because you don't want to set up a boomerang for yourself if you're cursing someone, such as a football player or a public official or some other athlete or something like that. If you've done this, even unthinkingly, and especially in a large group where it has more force, immediately ask God for forgiveness, since all people and creatures are divine as you are. And by the way, the F word, or the F-bomb, is a curse. Sense control banishes habit energies that cling to us. So if you are in the habit of saying that, then you could experience dangerous reactions later on. And then finally, curb all impulses to think or yell angrily. Always control your senses and emotions and don't let them control you. Again, cancel any yelling and ask the other person or God to forgive you. And then you're accountable by not doing it again. Now, you don't have to ask the other person out loud if you are not up to that yet at this point in your spiritual maturity, but you can ask them silently to forgive you, even if you don't know them, and you unconsciously curse them through swearing. And you can ask God to help you to change that habit, which is very self-destructive. All right. Now, we're going to talk about, in the next chart, canceling hexes, spells, and curses in a decree. So here's the decree. Through the power of the mighty I Am presence of God within me, and with the assistance of beloved Archangel Michael, Lord Agni, Master of Fire, Jesus Christ, Mother Mary, and Satya Sai Baba, I hereby cancel, rebuke, and obliterate forever and in perpetuity the effects of any curses, spells, incantations, or the effects of envy, jealousy, or malice against me, my loved ones, my pets, property, possessions, workplace, projects, or finances. So be it. It is done today. It is done to stay. It is done God's way. Amen. When we are working with these different processes, we might find ourselves in a situation where we would like to decree invisibility for ourself and our property. Now, we do have a chart on this. It says, I'm invisible. I can't be seen, heard, felt, or detected. Now imagine in the next chart that, all right, you're practicing invisibility. So imagine yourself wearing a silver reflective cloak like a burqa that covers you head to toe and goes over your head and under your feet and covers your hands and your feet as well. Intend that it is covering you instantly in case of danger. For example, if a gang of men, let's say, start coming around a corner when you're in a city and there's no place for you to run or walk away, and you need to step into a doorway, and intend that your invisibility cloak covers you. Now, this reflective silver burqa is very, very strong but lightweight, and it's as strong as titanium. So, you just intend that the same thing that I just said about being invisible, and then you cancel it after the coast is clear or when all danger seems to have passed. I'm going to tell you a Richard Bartlett story in just a moment, but we're going to go on right now to, okay, if you can just leave that, Jim. We're also going to talk about making our home, building, property, or workplace invisible. First of all, you intend it, then you cancel it. So the first teaching story is about Dr. Richard Bartlett. Once when we were taking one of many workshops by Richard Bartlett, the great healer, author, and workshop leader, he told us an amusing story about intending to become invisible. He and his adult son, who lived with him, decided to play with the skill of invisibility one morning when they went for daily breakfast at their local restaurant, Betty's Kitchen. They chortled as they intended that they were invisible and wondered what the restaurant staff would do when they arrived. They wondered if it was going to work. They stood for a while after they entered the restaurant at the hostess lectern in the lobby. But none of the wait staff even nodded to them. Usually they were called by name and ushered into their favorite booth and asked for their order. They were VIP guests, and everybody loved being around them, and they always laughed and joked. But this time, nobody greeted them as they sat down on the bench. Puzzled, they waited for an hour. Then they waited and waited, and suddenly Richard realized that they were invisible to the staff, and he told his son, "We're invisible. This is working entirely too well. Let's cancel our invisibility now." They did, and the manager came by and said, "Dr. Bartlett, when did you arrive? You're usually an hour earlier, like clockwork." "We were here an hour ago, but no one spoke to us or noticed us," he said, secretly smiling to himself. "Don't worry, we know you're busy." Well, the manager was noticeably flustered and apologetic, saying this had never happened and she was so sorry. He just smiled, and they were taken to their regular booth. Now I'd like to talk about a time when I made our property invisible. And the sound is on?
Yeah.
All right. So in this particular situation, I had been practicing making the property invisible, and then I would cancel it, and then I would make it invisible again. But one time I made it invisible and put a golden dome of light around it. And I also had protection 33,000 feet up in the air and 33,000 feet into the ground. And the golden dome was just as strong as titanium, like the invisibility cloak. And it worked very well. But I forgot to cancel it. I was expecting a friend to come over, and she was very, very late. in coming. It wasn't like her to be late. So she called exasperated and apologizing for being late and said, "You know, I've been to your house 3 times. I know my way there. I don't even need directions to guide me. But somehow today I just can't find it. Do you still live at the same place? I am right near you at the landmark that you've told me about so many times. Can you just guide me there?" I laughed and said, "Oh, don't worry, don't worry. You're only 2 minutes away, and I'll guide you on the phone." Well, right away, I decreed. The property is no longer invisible. It's perfectly visible to everyone who drives by. It's very easy for her to find our place without difficulty. I'll be guiding her on the phone. I was doing that mentally and silently, of course. So when she arrived, I apologized and told her about my experiment and that I had forgotten to cancel the invisibility. Then I told her how to do it, both for herself and also her property and workplace and her car even. And she was very happy to know the skill, and she forgave me. She said, "Maybe I should call next time I'm coming and just make sure that everything has been canceled." I said, "Well, you can if you want, but I think I have learned a lesson this time." Now we're going to show a chart about the mantles of selfless service, healing, and manifestation. We are going to do a quick guided meditation now on receiving the mantles. Selfless service, healing, and manifestation. So I'd like you to now close your eyes for about 3 minutes or so, and we'll do a guided meditation, as we said, called Receiving the Mantles. So close your eyes, please. Thank you. Get comfortable. Mantles are powers and abilities and gifts of the Spirit that the Lord and the Masters can give to people who are very sincere spiritual aspirants on the path. They are people who constantly do their forgiveness work. They clean up their act when they're making amends. They're accountable and they don't make those mistakes again. And this is what we're going to do to show you how it works when the Lord and His helpers provide mantles for various people. The Lord has provided a number of mantles for people during gazing, and they later wrote to tell us about it in great detail. As we said, God is soon going to be giving those who love Him and who want to fulfill their life purpose by being His instruments, His holy mantles, the power mantles and the healing mantles. Now let's take a deep breath and release it. Ready? Now relax your scalp, your forehead, and your cheeks. Relax your jaw, your neck and shoulders, and your trunk, arms, hands, legs, and feet. Sit quietly, filled with God's grace and mercy for all He and the Masters are doing for you today and the rest of your life. Now, if you're ready to receive the mantles, nod your head with your eyes closed, indicating, yes, I am ready to receive the powerful supernatural gifts that God has to give me now. And now imagine the avatar Satya Sai Baba and beloved Master Jesus and Mother Mary are standing in front of you, and that each of them is holding in their outstretched hands a beautiful, sparkling, gossamer golden mantle that is for you. There are 3 of them and 3 mantles for you. First, Sai Baba blesses you verbally. He says, I love you and I bless you. and he gently places his holy mantle of selfless service around your shoulders, saying that you will now do exceptional service and charity work without any thought of gratitude or reward, always recalling that he is the doer through you. He smiles, nods his head, and steps back. Next, Master Jesus smiles, steps up, tells you that he loves you and that he is gracing you with a mantle of healing around your shoulders, blessing you and asking you to remember that he heals through you and that you will always know what to do and what to say in every situation. You each smile at each other. Then he steps back and to the side. Finally, beloved Mother Mary steps forward, and you notice that the fragrance of roses emanate from her. She says that she loves you, and she places the mantle of manifestation around your shoulders, blessing you to be a vessel for the manifestation of food, water, and necessary funds and other necessities when needed in an emergency. She reminds you to pray, to always be humble and compassionate toward other people, and to use these mantles and gifts when you feel so prompted by the Lord and the angels and masters, and never ever to take credit for the results or to abuse them in any way. Always stay humble, she says. Then she smiles and steps back. For a few moments, you allow the tremendous feeling of happiness and gratitude to permeate you. You feel ebullient, as if your heart could pop out of your chest. Joy infills you. Gratitude exudes from you as you heartily and sincerely thank all three masters, and you profess your love, and you pledge to wear the mantles in humility, purity, and dependability. Now, prepare to open your eyes by stretching your hands and stretching your feet, moving your jaw, and rolling your head gently on your shoulders. Thank you. And thank you, beloved Sai Baba, beloved Master Jesus, and beloved Mother Mary. Now you may open your eyes and come back to the room. This concludes our gazing and workshop as we review what we've covered. We've outlined the current work for light workers. We've told you actually 7 teaching stories. We've taught 5 skill sets. We've taught how to communicate and regenerate with trees, how to make yourself and your property invisible, and then how to cancel the invisibility. Also, how to dispel curses and hexes against you. We've covered the 4 steps to mastery, and we provided 2 decrees. Remember now that we are moving toward egolessness and realization. This is a chart of resources we mentioned. Tree Talk by Diane Robbins, which we've mentioned before, and we hope you'll order, and you can get that on Amazon or from Diane if you Google her name. And then the same for The Light of the Soul, or a restatement of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali by Alice Bailey. And this, of course, is truly Master Dwal Cool, although he channeled it to Alice Bailey. This is an ancient text about awakening. Until November 27th at 2 o'clock p.m. Mountain Standard Time, we thank you, beautiful hearts, for joining us, and we send our love, our joy, and our blessings. Feel free to write us at info@ConnieShaw if you have anything remarkable or unusual to report. We give our deepest thanks to the Lord, His Masters of Light, and the angelic host. Now we'll meditate, and this is the last you'll see of us today, unless you look at any of our other online videos, of which there are probably over 30 by now. Jim and I are going to start the 3 ohms, and then we will darken the screen so that you can continue your meditation for as long as you like. Thank you for joining us, and we love you. The Lord loves you, and the masters and the angels love you. Ready? Om.